Hello and welcome. My name is Carol Carter, and I'm the founder and CEO of Global Minded. Global Minded is an inclusive success network dedicated to creating a capable, diverse talent pipeline to get more women, leaders of color, any way you can define diversity into the education, economic mobility, and leadership pipeline. We do that in a number of ways, one of which is through these monthly equity sessions, which we have in STEM, K-12, higher education, technology, foundations and funders across the different disciplines that we offer for both faculty and students to join, and also a lot of our corporate partners who have ERG groups that want to be connected to people who they can relate to from all different backgrounds. So that's one thing we do. We also run programs for college freshmen at the historically Black colleges, the Hispanic serving institutions, some of the minority serving institutions, and the TCU tribal colleges. So we provide a hidden curriculum. We mentor match with industry professionals and provide a lot of the wraparound services that people from the wealthy zip codes get built into their families. We provide those for our students, many of whom are poverty affected. And then finally, we have a daily newsletter with role models every day of people like you who have overcome the odds, you're role models for our students. And then we have a conference in June 22, 23, 24, where we will be live this year after being sequestered for 2 years in our homes or wherever we've been. So we look forward to inviting you all to that. And without further ado, this is a combination event today of our STEAM team led by Paula, Garcia, Todd, and our K-12 leaders, Dr. Paul Miller leads. So they're coming together to join forces today. And with that, I'll introduce Paula and Paul. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome here today. We're in for a great conversation. It's an honor to be partnered with Paula Todd today. And we have some great guests who are coming to us to discuss STEM and education. So in our true fashion, what we'd like to do is give our guest about 60 seconds to tell us who you are, what do you do, why do you do it? Tell us your life story in about 60 seconds or less. And that way, so everybody out there knows why they're listening and why you need to be here, helping us out, giving us more information on STEM and education. So I'll start with Jason Coleman. Have you got 60 seconds, good sir?
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Jason Coleman, I currently serve as the executive director and co-founder of a Chicago-based nonprofit called Project SYNCERE. I started Project SYNCERE 13 years ago, just from the lack of diversity that I saw firsthand in the engineering fields. My background is in mechanical engineering. After graduating from University of Southern California, I worked as a professional engineer for roughly 8 years. And typically during that time, I was the only African-American on any of my design teams in both the aerospace industry and also while working at Motorola designing cell phones. And so in 2008, I decided to create change, in this industry. And so I left corporate America to launch Project SYNCERE, to grow it now to one of the largest STEM-based organizations in Chicago, providing pathway programs for young people in grades 6 through 12 to not only become exposed to careers in engineering, but to truly develop the skills, confidence, and knowledge that they need to be successful in post-secondary studies and beyond.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. We're honored to have you. Dr. Dana C Giles, can you give us the honor and tell us all that good stuff we want to know about you as well?
Absolutely. First of all, what an honor to be here amongst the panelists. And I want to tell you, thank you in advance for all the work that you do to advance STEM for our students. I am the very proud principal of Pebblebrook High School, which is I don't like to say Title I school. We are a public school that receives Title I funds. We are the 4th largest high school in Cobb County School District. We have about 2,500 students. And my undergraduate degrees are in biology and chemistry. I taught several disciplines of science for many years before making the transition to administrator. And in the STEM area, I was the assistant principal over the research and biomedical technology magnet program at one of our local high schools. When I became the principal at my feeder middle school, I started the STEM Academy that's currently there. And as I transitioned to the high school, I started the STEAM Academy for Advanced Academics here at Pebblebrook High School. My ultimate desire and goal is to see STEM and STEAM realized in the lives of all of our students. I believe strongly that there's something for all of our students to get, regardless of the level of academic performance, regardless of what they bring to the table. There are opportunities for STEM and STEAM for all of our students. So my job as the chief learner at Pebblebrook High School is to ensure that I create a platform that allows that to happen for our students.
Thank you so much. Pastor Lyndrell Randall, if you can give us the honor of telling us a little bit more as well.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pastor Lyndrell Randall. I am blessed to be able to be at Green Tech Middle School. I'm the STEM teacher there. I've been in the upstate capital region of New York for about 14 years, where I
Now,
work in.
can you walk me through real quick how to set my background?
All right. So I'm fortunate to be working in the inner city community, as well as teaching there and serving in a pastoral role. I get an opportunity to teach STEM to our scholars there, exposing them to different professional jobs in that field. The pleasure of doing that, I get a chance to invite professional minority people, exposing our young scholars to people in the field of STEM and all those different jobs, and get a chance to show just a positive look to our community of our young scholars about futures of tomorrow. So it's been exciting teaching at Green Tech. I've also worked with Kappa League. We have a young men's mentoring program called Kappa League, and it has a STEM portion as well. So we get a chance just to have just all our young men in the community as well as young women in the community through that program is teaching STEM as well. So we're just trying to teach the community that learning is fun, connecting, cross teaching with our team with math, science, ELA, and connecting what they can do in the future. So it's been a great opportunity just to expose them and the family as well.
Thank you, Pastor Randall. And last but not least, we have a wonderful, fabulous addition to the panel here. Jennifer Makins, can you tell us who you are? What do you do? Why do you do it? You got 60 seconds though. But
60 seconds. It's speed dating. Well, I'm Jen Makins. I'm Director of STEM Education here at Parish. Parish Episcopal School in Dallas. I apologize for being late. I've had Zoom struggles, but I know Paula, and I'm also a If Then ambassador through AAAS. And I love education. I love hands-on projects. I love building things. I love seeing my kids excited. I love seeing them overcome failure. So that's my 60 seconds who I am and why I love what I do.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Paula because she's going to kick us off with the first question. And we'll have a bunch of questions for you guys today to dig deeper with this STEM and education.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. So again, thank you all for being here. Indeed, Jen and I are ambassador sisters, and Jason and I actually serve on a committee together with the National Academy of Engineering. So it's really an honor to have all of you with us today. Okay, so I'm just going to kick it off. Let's start with the basics. What does STEM mean to you? And how do you make it applicable for students who see everyday core curriculum as boring? Any thoughts?
I'll take a stab at that one. Defining STEM, I think it means any problem, multiple solutions. And when I think about that, there are all kinds of problems, challenges, opportunities for our students and multiple solutions. My job is to create the platform, the opportunity, the resources for them to fail with support. I heard Jennifer talk about that, and I think that many of our students struggle with failing and understanding the learning that takes place in the process of failure, in the process of setbacks. So for me, STEM is providing, or STEM means any problem, multiple solutions. I think that if for me, that approach helps me or helps our students to not be afraid when they hear STEAM. They're not automatically thinking, I'm not smart enough, I don't have the best grades, because they know that there are multiple problems and they understand that there are many solutions. And so they think about, what do I bring to the table as part of that solution network? And what is my voice in that process? And I think as the chief learner for my school, it's providing that platform and being that conduit to allow that to take place for my students.
That's amazing. Thank you. Jason, did you have something to add to that as well?
Yes, of course. I mean, I definitely agree with everything that Dr. Giles said. You know, as an engineer, I like to say that STEM, or engineering, is the one part of STEM that truly combines everything else, right? So as engineers, we are able to apply science and math in our engineering discoveries, but we also utilize technology throughout this process. For us, we're also, at Project SYNCERE, we also have the luxury of not being a school. And so we're always the fun group that comes into the school to provide hands-on opportunities for young people to truly become engaged in engineering. We teach them how to utilize the engineering design process to solve problems, to how to look at a higher level problem and break it down into smaller steps that makes it, you know, much easier for them to kind of come up with their solutions and dissect that problem. And for us, we just try to make the learning relevant for students. And so we're always presenting them with, you know, relevant problems that, you know, that they can fully identify with, adding some cool concepts to it, but allowing them to utilize engineering as the tool to come up with a solution to that problem. So, I mean, I love STEM. STEM has definitely changed my life. And so we try to make STEM just fun and relevant for the young people we work with.
That's awesome. Thank you. Any other thoughts, comments?
Yes, I would just like to share. That's a great question when you talk about core curriculums, because when they come to my class as middle school, and that's the most crucial time of building a good foundation and making learning fun. With my peers, we tag team together with their curriculums and with the STEM lessons that we have, so they can connect why math is important, why ELA is important, why science is important, because they look at different professions. And then what I see in our program at our school is we set that standard high and we don't compromise it, and our scholars reach that potential. And what happens is I kind of have fun tricking them to make learning fun, and they don't even realize they're learning the core curriculums, and then we bring it back around and they looking like, oh, then we have professional people come in and reiterate what we're teaching in our curriculums, and then we say, hey, this is why this is important. And so I've also seen, because of the virtual world that we have when we're teaching and making the STEM fun and the core curriculum more understandable, parents and grandparents are listening. And, you know, and they sometimes get involved with the discussion because they're learning as well. And so when you know that you got every generation gravitating into it because the curriculum is kind of opening up, and so, oh, this makes sense. And of course, we all know with the technology that we have today, the lessons that we're teaching, we didn't have this in middle school. And so all my guest speakers that come in professionally, they're looking like, wow, if we would have had this opportunity, it would have been really, you know, life-changing for us. And so our scholars really embrace and enjoy it. So it kind of put a different twist with, okay, now this is why you got to learn algebra. This is why you got to learn this formula. You're learning this because we're learning flight technology. We're connecting those things. And then they're looking like, wow, okay, I thought I wasn't going to use it. And now they're realizing if they choose that profession, no, you will use it.
I love that. That's very impactful. It's great. Jen, anything else to add on that?
Well, I think he kind of took the words out of my mouth, and I think the only thing I would add is a phrase we use around school is that for us, STEM is just that authentic, real world problem. It lends itself so easy to that it's authentic engagement. For a lot of the things we do here, whether it's curriculum made in house or national, international competitions we participate in, it's an authentic, like they're doing real engineering. It's nothing manufactured. So it's that applied, authentic use of math and science that you can't really fake. So it helps the kids really, as he said, why did I have to learn algebra? Why trig? Trig's hard. Well, let's use trig in a meaningful way rather than just sit and work problems on paper. So that's our favorite part.
So I think that this leads into an interesting question, hopefully for everybody. So there's a myth that STEM careers are just too difficult, and students think that they are associated with just extremely high levels of probably math and science that some of them don't feel they're capable of obtaining, even though we know that they are capable, but they feel that way. And so they often, STEM careers are kind of, they feel like there's a deterrent, and quite a few students don't necessarily want to go into STEM careers. Like, what are your thoughts on that? And what are STEM related careers? So again, there's a myth that STEM related careers are too difficult, which is a deterrent for quite a few students. So what's your answer to that? And what are some STEM related careers so that we can start to paint a picture of what does STEM really mean? Anyone?
I guess I'll kick it off. And just an FYI, so most of my answers are going to be hyper-focused on engineering, right? And so, I try not to sugarcoat it to kids because engineering is a hard discipline, right? Like, you do need to be good in math, you do need to be good in science, but you don't have to be a genius to kind of get through some of these classes. For me, honestly, like got really good, great grades in high school, and I went to college. It was a total shock. But it was truly because I thought I knew everything and I didn't really know how to study. And so I think helping young people learn how to learn, I think is an important part of the process in order for them to get through those early hurdles. Work with other students, get a team, get a study group together. And sometimes when you're able to, work through a problem and explain it to somebody else, it truly helps you learn these concepts a lot better. And then maybe somebody in your group can help teach you in a way that the teacher was not able to. And so, I think that our young people need to not be scared of failure or of struggling to get through a class. Life is not easy, right? And so if we're able to, develop the skills early on in life to kind of overcome some of these earlier challenges, it'll really pay off in the long run. And so, but some of the STEM-related careers that I always talk about is truly our engineering careers, because I love engineering. And engineers truly create or are responsible for everything around us. So we try to teach students about how can we, not just look at things from a consumer standpoint, but how can we be the individuals that are actually developing the new technologies that change the world in which we live, work, and play. So that's kind of my response to this question.
No, thank you, Mr. Coleman. But so I have a doctorate, but my math skills are not what I would like them to be, right? So, a lot of kids, so that sounds nice, Mr. Coleman, but I'm not going to be in kid speak. Nobody's engineer. So, but I might be interested in science still. I might still be interested in different areas of STEM or STEAM. Dr. Giles, what else can I be, or what does that look like? Because math is too difficult for me. So what else can I do in STEM? And I'm not going to be nobody's engineer.
Well, and you were talking, Mr. Coleman, my son is a civil engineer major, junior in his junior year. I said, he sounds just like my son, but I like my son and not, would not be necessarily engineer. But I think for me, it's not about so much, it's the process, the engineering process. If you look at the list of the top employability skills, half of those employability skills are STEM related or cultured within a STEM environment. Even if it's working at your local grocery store, right? The person who is giving you back your change, and if you've ever seen a high schooler trying to count out change, sometimes it's like, oh goodness, but it's problem solving, it's reasoning, it's critical thinking. And so I think that for me, my concept of the job is more about the skill in any job that you do. Many of our students are void of a lot of the behaviors of STEM that are needed for them to be successful at the basic jobs. So what we focus on is, what are the skills within STEAM? What do you see articulated that any student can master at any level? So that's everything. Every single job is related to STEM. Every single job has a process. Every single job will have a problem. Every single job is looking for, you have to have multiple solutions. You have to have reasonings. You have to use multiple sources. You have to form a hypothesis. So we take what is in front of the student and then infuse the STEAM, the engineering process of critical thinking. And so for that reason, it makes it tangible. Our kids are not afraid of STEAM because they understand that I see it everywhere. I see it everywhere. No matter where I go, I need these employability skills, which I said, if you look at the top employability skills, all of them are housed in the tenets of STEM education.
Right. So Jennifer, you know what? Nobody wants to really answer my question. What are the careers that I can do? Because you know what? Dr. Miller doesn't want to be an engineer, and I want to do, I want to work in construction. Is that STEM? Is
Yeah,
that STEM?
absolutely.
And
Sure.
why? And what else could I
1000%.
do? Because
If you
I want
like
to swing a
video
hammer.
games, you can design and build a video game. If you like photography, you can get into processing the digital photographs. If you like forensic science, solving crimes, you can be in STEM. I think the great thing about the program Paula and I have been a part of, the If Then Ambassador program, is we have cataloged 120 different women, as it just happens to be, can be men too, but women in STEM with 120. If you like soccer or football or baseball, all the pitches, the curves, the spins on the pitches, learning how to hit that ball, the strategy of just the pitch count and all that, that's STEM. The stats for knowing the basketball, that's STEM. If you like all kinds of boats, I mean, you name it. I agree with Dr. Giles. STEM is in everything that is in the world, but I would bet if you like music is STEM. I'm not a big proponent of STEAM, and that's a whole nother thing. And has nothing to do with my friends in the arts, but it's because I believe there's context behind a lot of things. But music is art. Music is STEM. Art is STEM. The color, the mixing of the colors, the technology that's used. I know at SMU they have a CNC router machine. So it's a machine that's supposed to be carving material, normally carving wood, or it could be carving metal. But somebody wrote the code for the machine, attached a Sharpie to it, put a canvas under it, and here you have a machine making art. So I think just like Dr. Giles said, STEM's everywhere, and pretty much any career you could want probably has a STEM aspect to it. But you don't have to. If you don't want to be an engineer, there's plenty of other great options out there.
And Jennifer, I'm going to interject really quickly, because at our conference in June, we're going to have something Friday afternoon called Industry Marketplace, Career Exploration, Apprenticeship, Job Fair Arena, because there's a lot of people who don't know the cool things you can do in any sector. And the more we can get counselors and parents and students themselves and teachers to understand the emerging careers, in engineering, in technology, across all the STEM areas, in media and the arts, anything. These are the ways that young people become inspired. And if they don't know these things, they aren't hopeful and passionate about their future, what they can do with their gifts and talents. So anyway, I love the way all you guys think. And I just want to say, I think we need to be doing that with workforce centers around the country, because we have to re-engineer the old model of what it was like to do college counseling when you're in high school, and even for teachers to be able to really keep up on this stuff. It's how people are inspired, for their future. So
Carol, I love that y'all are doing that. And I just want to kind of add a slightly different spin, but it's a related spin. And that's when I spent like a year and a half of my career working at NASA headquarters, doing education stuff. So it's by no means am I a rocket scientist or an astronaut or anything like that. But I also think it's important to tell kids that maybe for those of you that math is hard, you have this love of the science of STEM things. So you love space flight or aviate, like anything, meteorology. You love the environment. You want to go work at the EPA. You don't have to necessarily be a scientist or be an engineer. Like NASA needs a graphic designers, NASA needed attorneys, NASA needed accountants. So you can
PR
have
people, communication people, writers.
Yeah, right. I mean, oh my God, do we need a lot of communication people in science right now? So you can have a passion for the topic, and just because maybe your skill set in terms of you've got a learning difference and math is just really, really hard for you, you can still find ways into what I would say the STEM industry and STEM related careers without having to be an engineer, and serve the community well and have a really great job that supports yourself and your family. So
Pastor Randall, did you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. In the classroom and getting the chance to even just to work with our youth, STEM helps with working with those phobias. We get a chance to expose them to those careers because we kind of do a history background of those different careers. And as we do like our activities and we do problem solving, we do critical thinking, we also work on their writing skills. So a lot of their phobias, what I'm seeing from our scholars since we've been implementing the STEM program, I've watched them grow from 6th grade to 8th grade. I've watched 8th graders who do stuff grudgingly now are entrenched in looking at STEM jobs and problem solving and working. And so that phobia is there, and especially in inner city areas, the urban community. And so what we do at Green Tech, we try to expose them. What do you see around you that is STEM based? You talk about different jobs. There's computer science, there's structural engineering. We did a structural engineering looking at bridges, had them doing research of all the bridges that need repairing. And they look on the news, and the news is talking about the funding for the bridges. I said, guys, those are jobs you can be looking to grow into. And then I say, the discussion having 6th, 7th, 8th grade talking about having jobs making 6 figures in the urban community, and that's the question. That's the famous question they ask when I have guest speakers coming in. How much do you make? I just had a guest speaker today. It's hilarious. And then I watch their young minds. They ask it different ways. But what that does is it exposes them to someone that looks like them. And then they share their struggles. I love the speakers coming in and sharing their struggles and overcoming those phobias and fears. And then they're telling them, I go to work, I love to do what I do. And so it just put a different view and exposing them to people of the minority community, and that's impacting doing great things. So there's so many different jobs. I'm teaching veterinarian, I'm teaching robotics, flight technology. And, it blows their mind when they see a Black pilot. We got an alumni from Green Tech. He's in the Navy, and he's a mechanic, engineering in the Navy. So it's someone from their community, and, the teachers are raving about that. So it's those things that take that fear away, but we do have to address it. And then we do have to make it appealing, learning fun, and then also saying, okay, I can do that as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Listening to all of you, I can't help but feel that the students that all of you work with and that you touch and impact are incredibly lucky and blessed to have such passionate teachers, educators around them, and I wonder sometimes about schools that maybe don't have the same type of resources and the same type of, STEM curriculum that we're talking about here. So, I don't know if any of you have any experiences or thoughts of, what are some ways that you can bring STEM into a school when there isn't a large budget to do so, right? I don't know if you have any examples or anything that you've seen that has been successful to still implement STEM in some way where the resources aren't necessarily there.
I have something to share. This costs no money, but this was probably one of the most exciting things or ventures that our students did. In the beginning of the year, or actually before students started the school, I took our students who were in our STEAM Academy and some other students, and I gave them three things. I gave them a copy of the CDC guidelines, suggestions for returning to school. I gave them a map of the square footage of our school, and I gave them our student enrollment number. And I said, school is starting in 2 weeks. What does our school look like under the recommendation of the CDC? Can I tell you, they were, and so they had to go through everything. Is it possible to social distance? What does that look like? That means, when is the bell going to ring? And if it rings, how many kids can move at one time? What does lunch look like? What is the capacity of the seating of our cafeteria? Are we going to be able to skip seats? They explored everything. And it was amazing because that latter portion that I mentioned to you about the cafeteria wasn't something that I asked them. I just said, how do we make this happen? That's all I said. I didn't know what their focus was going to be. You had groups of students who focus on the athletics. What are the football games, the baseball games? What's our seating capacity there? You had our students who are in our performing arts program talking about spacing for the dance studio. How are we going to sing? Should we sing with mask on? Is that going to affect the sound quality? All of that happened, and it cost me nothing. And so I say that to say that it doesn't take a budget to bring in the process of inquiry. If you have a problem, if you have something that's tangible to the student, you can invite and evoke that process of critical thinking. Our students they spoke to the maintenance person, they spoke to the custodians, they wanted a map of square footage, all because I asked the question. And so I think that leaders, teachers have to not think so big when it comes to what STEM opportunities look like, and find things that are right within your building. We had students who did not like the fact that our handicapped students had to enter one of our buildings from the other side. And so they looked and said, what do we need to do to build a ramp? What does that ramp look like? They took that idea, they took that project, they looked at all of the ADA guidelines. They did that because there was a problem that spoke to them. So I think starting in-house and asking within the community and saying, what are the problems or the issues or the questions? Remember, our motto is any problem, multiple solutions. What are the problems and the opportunities that students can dive into, can connect to, and then let them go, let them tinker and see what kind of evolves.
Talk about a real life example right there, right? How do you manage a school under CDC guidelines? That's amazing. Jason, did you have anything to add on that?
Of course I do. So Dr. Giles, I love that, right? So you all took an approach of engaging your kids in a really sounds like industrial engineering operations type of project, right? And so that's one great opportunity of, I would say, a low-tech project to engage students in STEM learning. I think most of the times when people think of STEM, they think of high-tech, oh, I need robotics, oh, we need this 3D printer, oh, we need that. And those things are great, right? But it's also much cheaper ways, I would say, to engage kids in learning. And one of them is through the method that Dr. Giles just kind of went over. I would also say that, schools or district could really try to engage with their community. So what engineering firms in your community can you partner with to bring in volunteers to kind of lead different projects or workshops with your students? Hopefully the companies within your, in your community want to engage with young people to help, expose them to these future careers so that, they're also creating a pipeline of future talent into that workforce. Organizations like myself work with a lot of schools. Many times we work with schools at no cost because we have funding coming from our corporate partners. We have department like federal grants that really allow us to work with our school partners to provide, large scale projects within different schools to engage young people in this types of learning. But then I would also say, just from one other example, like think about like how internally, your teachers can try to engage with your students. So Dr. Giles, you gave a great example about how you presented this problem to your young people. But from a sustainability standpoint, like how can the teachers within the schools really gain the confidence? And I think confidence is a big issue for most of our STEM teachers, where they feel like they don't have the expertise to truly engage young people in like project-based learning. But how can they receive the necessary professional development to really empower them to lead students through many of these types of hands-on learning opportunities, to really engage students in comprehensive STEM learning opportunities?
I love your response, Jason, because you mentioned something that Pastor Randall also said, and it's the power of using your community and the professionals around your community, bringing them into your classrooms to show what STEM careers look like, potentially partner with them. Can we create a project together? Can you come in and just, look at these science projects, give us feedback? What does this look like in the real world? I mean, there's a lot of ways to engage with the community. And I think, both of you have shared examples of that.
I just want to add
of
one
course.
thing. Like I always believe that for young people, you truly can't be what you don't see. So it's really important for our young people to see examples of, different professionals that they can look forward to, possibly, pursuing later in the future. So it's really important for professionals to come, work with our young people, specifically if those professionals look like our young people and come from those same communities. It just kind of gives them a glimpse of hope of what they can look forward to achieving in life.
100% agree with that. Absolutely. Jen, did you have anything else to add on how to bring STEM into a school that may not have the funds to do so?
I think I 100% agree with all the ideas shared. I would also just say that there's a lot of organizations out there that have curriculum available online to do just that, and help not and again, not to necessarily promote NASA. It's a place I'm familiar with and use resources readily from. And that's, the government agencies, they have a charge to not only do their main government job, but then to do outreach to basically recruit for their own pipeline. So the NASA education curriculum is aligned with national standards, and it's meant for all schools. So those that have the 3D printers can definitely kind of tweak the lessons and go and fly higher. And those that it may not have quite the same resources, they're intended to be for low cost, kind of under $100. With odds and ends, you probably have just in a science lab to begin with, little 1 ounce paper cups, fishing lines, all the thing. And suddenly you're landing a lander on the surface of Mars, doing great STEM activities. And I know there's some different, robotics got mentioned earlier, and I think kind of robotics has gotten, it got really popular, and now it's kind of, I think, over, it's I think maybe starting to trend out, but it's super important. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's several robotics competitions out there that are meant to be done with lower cost, and they'll ship you a kit, so it's a low barrier to entry. Here's a lot of your materials to get started, and then you can do exactly what Jason talked about, is you find a local community sponsor that might help you come up with some 2x4s, or a company that might let you come in, or somebody in your religious community that's got a saw in their garage. They'll come in and let you safely help you cut and build your robot to take off to competition. So there's a lot of things out there. You just kind of have to have the perseverance to look.
Yeah, those are all great examples. Yeah. Pastor Randall, anything else to add on that?
It's tough, like everybody covered everything. As we continue, just, this COVID has made us become very creative virtually. What I've been utilizing more is the internet. We're doing construction learning and wall framing. And I saw something where they made a Lamborghini car out of wood, of course, with a boy, all boys school. I said, guys, you want to make this? And they were all like, some say yes, some say no, but you can just see them paying attention. So sometimes we just got to be creative, using different affordable ways, areas that don't have the big budget. Dr. Miller, when we went through the pandemic, we first went out of school unexpectedly. I was doing flight technology, and the simple thing of making a kite out of a trash bag and having the parents involved, because we were all up in upstate New York. We couldn't go out from our yard, and I had the kids record it. Just seeing the families being involved with that. I mean, we had to just do some creative things without the budget. So, when you have, when you think in critical thinking in situations and showing them, and then all of a sudden, I saw my co-teachers join in with me, and then we all started making lesson plans out of some of the very affordable projects. So those are some of the things we can do in areas where, because with us as kids, we made kites because we didn't have the video games. With today kids making a kite, it's like it's like riding a bike, and the parents, it kind of brought the parents back. So those are some of the things we got to do when you're looking at budgets and you can't afford different things, but they're very fun, very family engaging as well. And then, like you said, you making learning fun.
No, thank you. So I'm gonna come back to you, Pastor Randall. So what has been the biggest influencer in your career, and how can you use it to influence others into a STEM world? And then we want everybody to kind of take a stab with it. Like, what's made you want to do what you're doing, and how can you utilize your experiences now to get other kids to want to do this?
I tell you, when we talk about all these different phobias and in our community, and STEM is not important. In the minority community, STEM has been important since forever. But I have a father-in-law who built on bridges, and with a high school diploma, very smart, but from the South, he did a lot of engineering, building and industrial engineering, just naturally. And he was in magazines, and I looked at him, and he didn't have the title, he didn't have the position. They would send for him to come and take on those different tasks. So I give those stories to our young people, say, look, this is already something naturally you do. And even pushing him, he just settled. So what kind of drive me to be passionate about what I teach in our communities, not to settle. And I can see in my life many times I've settled because of some of the phobia of struggling with math. Like Dr. Miller said, well, math is not my strong point, but unexposed to different jobs I can do where my strength is, I said, I could have done that. And so that really pushes me professionally to be passionate about teaching the young men from when they first come into encounter with me, watching them and their families really be exposed, and the dialogue change because they've been exposed. Oh no, I can be a pilot. I can be a structural engineering. I can be a veterinarian. I can be, and they raise their hand, no, I would like to do this. So that really pushes me to drive to expose them to more, and then look for that to change our community as well as our future.
Jennifer, now it's interesting because you said you were, I think you might have been really a rocket scientist at NASA. You just don't want to tell us all. You got secret clearance or something. So without giving away your secret clearance, like, tell us what influenced you, and how are you use that to influence young people?
Well, thanks, Dr. Miller. Yeah, no, really not a rocket scientist, but it sure is a lot of fun to hang out with them. Now, I'm 42 years old, so I was in kindergarten when the Challenger exploded, this Challenger space shuttle. And there was a woman on board that space shuttle named Krista McAuliffe, who was a teacher. And she didn't necessarily inspire me to be a teacher right away, but what inspired me about her story comes up from a book, or just from being alive at the time and kind of watching all that. But her mother wrote a book, and she said what made Krista really special is Krista really lived. She tried things. She just wasn't afraid to try things. And that just really stuck with me. And so I grew up working in summer camps while I was going to school in college, and found that I loved outdoor education. And then along the way, I got walls, and then I got things like saws and robots and all kinds of other things. And so I just found that I loved working with kids, and that philosophy that Krista had is to just try things. So a slogan that's kind of come out of the pandemic is, or been made popular by the pandemic, is "We can do hard things," which I think STEM's really great at. Is that, you know, I've tried plenty of things with my kids. We have failed gloriously on international streaming television. Wheel fell off. It was all kinds of painful. 14-hour drive home, having to figure out, gosh, do we want to do that again? How are we going to do that again? We spent a lot of money, time, and effort into that. And what are we going to do next? And they wanted to come home and figure out how to do better. So that's just what I love about STEM is, you know, you kind of have permission, at least in STEM education, to try a lot of things and fail gloriously, fail quickly, and try again. This afternoon, my rover team, we spent a lot of time and energy trying to build a mold for a carbon fiber wheel. And the whole point of the mold is that you can reuse it multiple times, make multiple wheels. And gosh, if our wheel mold didn't split in half. So I'm going to go back here afterwards, and we're going to figure out how to make a wheel mold that doesn't break. And so that's just, to me, the fun part of what I do. And for me, what do I want my kids to take from it? I want those that go into STEM to do well, to love it, to have, you know, an opportunity that they've had a chance to build and explore and try new things, and have that failure early on, and then know how to persevere through it. For those who don't go into STEM, but maybe go, like I said earlier, into the business world for a STEM company, or even, you know, kind of, I think one of the points Dr. Giles is making is that, you know, the world would be better just with critical thinkers and problem solvers of all types. So I hope that they go off and they've had a chance to work on a complicated project that's authentic with team members, and have to figure out how to navigate that. So they go off into the world of college if they go with some familiarity there, or if they end up, you know, being a professional, great. If they are responsible for manning the home front or just staffing the home front, excuse me, that they're just an informed member of our society. I think our current times have just shown that having more knowledgeable critical thinkers to help go, is that fact or is that fiction, would help all around the globe in many, many different ways, let alone just starting to solve the big problems like clean drinking water and, you know, all kinds of other big problems we have ahead of us from in the globe.
Thank you, Dr. Giles. What's your biggest influencer, and how do you use that for kids?
My biggest influencers would be my children, my 3 children. I have a 20, 21, and 17-year-old. And just the juxtaposition of their life and their perspective on things versus mine drives a lot of the decision-making that I make for other students. I remembered when I was growing up, I'm 50, and I remembered growing up when I heard in my house, don't touch that. Don't touch that. You're going to break it. Don't touch that, right? You don't necessarily say that to students anymore because they're not going to touch it. We had Tinker Time. You would put 25 cents into a little machine, and out would come a ball or something, and you would make that ball everything in the world. That ball would become a doll baby. It would become an airplane. We allowed, when I was growing up, you had this imagination, And you would play with that little 25-cent ball for hours. You give a child a little 25-cent ball, like it's gone. They don't have that tinker time. I had a friend who told me, she said, "You're not going to believe what I just found in my daughter's closet." And I said, "Well," she said, "I went in her closet and I found her closet was filled with dirty clothes." And I said to her, "The washing machine is right here. Why didn't you wash your clothes?" She said, "Nobody showed me how to use it." And she said, they got a new washing machine. She said, "Figure it out." She said, "No." Our students, our kids, we're growing up at a time where kids don't have to figure out anything. They don't. Everything's provided for them. You go into, I don't know about where you all live, but you go to purchase something, they don't even have to count change anymore. Change comes out, like they don't have the process of figuring out. So all of these things are being added to them to make things easier in society. But at the same time, it's pulling away creativity. It's pulling away problem solving. And you see that that change and that shift in what it does for students. You see this increase in apathy, this laziness, this who's going to help me? Can I get extra credit? Can somebody help me do these things? And so I've just kind of followed my own children's personal development in combination, in concert to what I see with students that I work with every day. And so I'm always trying to think of what else do they need? Because in life, there are going to be things that they're going to face that they're going to, guess what? They're going to have to figure out the washing machine on themselves, right? And so we're creating a group of students who's going to have a closet filled with dirty clothes. You know, that's not good. That's not good for where we're heading. And so influence for me are my life's journey, my babies, their life journey, well, they always know that my kids, their life journey, and the students that I serve each and every day, because I know the world that I'm preparing them to be in. And so I'm always trying to find and connect to the resources and the opportunities to make a productive life a tangible, realistic option for them.
Thank you. Jason, your thoughts?
Well, this is a loaded question. So I think my biggest influence has been on why I do the work is based upon like my own experiences. So, you know, I've had a lot of success as an engineer. You know, definitely I've seen a lot, you know, through my success as an engineer, I've traveled the world. I truly understand and have a love for technology and how technology is created. But I also love like breaking barriers, breaking stereotypes, you know, redefining the odds. You know, as I stated earlier, like I was truly most times the only African-American on any of my design teams. And so, you know, that really was the influencer for me to want to walk away and create change just in the educational industry. I feel like so many young people just never got the opportunities to become exposed to engineering early on or really understand how fun and cool engineering can really be. And so, you know, that kind of took them away from wanting to pursue a career in the engineering fields. What's the other part? And I really utilize this to do the work that we do now. You know, my organization, we try not only to like teach students, you know, more about the engineering industry and show them how cool it is, but for those students who already are showing an interest in engineering, we really try to dig in to these students and really take their understanding, their knowledge, and their confidence to the next level. We're trying to make like engineering rock stars out of our young people, and we've been able to do that. So, you know, the last 13 years, you know, hundreds of students of ours have gone to college and graduated, but there's so much hidden talent within our communities. We're trying to kind of like, you know, expose, well, not expose the same group, but provide these young people with the opportunities necessary to really thrive in these fields. And so, you know, when I see our students, you know, getting full-time jobs at Apple or at Boeing or Motorola, you know, that's what truly excites me. We're really able to kind of unlock, you know, this diversity pipeline that's truly been hidden within our community for so long. And really to teach these young people about the opportunity that exists that can be transformational, not only for them, but for their communities, their family, and our future, really, as a nation. So that's what kind of gets me excited. That's why I love to do the work that we do. And it's, this is my excitement and my joy, the work that I do here at Project SYNCERE today.
That's amazing. Thank you all for sharing. So we're coming down on time. So I'm going to give you each 30 seconds to kind of do a quick wrap up. And I'm thinking I would really love to hear from you. What would be one piece of advice that you have for underrepresented students who show curiosity and interest in STEM? So we'll wrap it up with that, 30 seconds each. I will call on Pastor Randall first.
Wow, okay. 30 seconds. There's no room for excuse. No matter what the situation is, you have to utilize the resource around you. That's what I would challenge families and children that can feel like they don't have that opportunity. Like you said, learning how to use, operate the appliances. Everything is STEM related. So just utilize the resource. Let's be creative. Let's be a critical thinker, and just push everyone, the family, to bring it into the culture and embrace it. And just like you say, when we couldn't touch and tinkle stuff, just encourage the kids, hey, explore.
Thank you. Amazing. Dr. Giles?
I'd like to say, in speaking directly to those students, first of all, to affirm them and to let them know that there are a group of people, educators, community resources that believe in your success, that we see you. You're not as hidden as you thought you were. And I would say to push forward. Sometimes it's very difficult for some of our best and brightest students who are minority students to be their best, because there are other influences that say you need to be like this or act like this, or you fall into sort of popular norms. But I encourage them to be their most creative and unique self, and to look for others who are like them, that they see that example of what they want to be. But I'd like to just speak life to them, and speak hope to them, and let them know that we see you, and there are tons of people who are working for your betterment and for your good, and we know that you can do this. And teachers who are out there who will work with these students, connect with them. Don't let a student pass. Don't miss an opportunity to be a lifeline to a student who needs this opportunity for success and need this opportunity to move forward in their post-secondary opportunities and in their life.
Very powerful. Thank you for that. Jason?
For those students who are showing, interest in STEM, I would say to, look for other opportunities to continue to, expand your knowledge or exposure to those opportunities. Do the best, try to find a mentor, somebody that can help, push you along that path, or just support you in your curiosity in those different fields. But never stop learning. This doesn't just apply to the STEM fields. If you're in the arts, if you're in music, you have to become a master of your craft. So, look up YouTube videos. There's a lot of different things that you can do to continue learning. So continue to dig deep, search for more opportunities, and find support, in the things that you love.
Excellent. Thank you. And last but not least, Jen?
Well, to add, that's not a repeat, I would just say to those students, you are not alone. It may feel like you are an only person in your area, your community, or in your home that you have this interest, but I promise you're not. There are people out there you will find. Keep working hard, keep learning, as Jason said, and you will find others out there like you, that have that same interest, that look like you. We're just scattered about right now, but you are not alone. There are other people like you.
Thank you so much. All right, so thank you all so much. I'm going to let Carol give us some parting words before we go.
Thank you so much, Paula and Dr. Miller, and incredible panelists today. And just want to remind everybody that we will be live in June 22nd, 23rd, 24th in Denver. And we have an incredible group of STEM leaders and leaders from across every single sector. So we really believe that the big levers of access and equity can move when you're working with uncommon collaborators and unusual suspects, and you have to work with people who are not in the lanes of familiarity where each of us are. And that is how we can really open doors for so many different students who deserve to develop their talent in the ways that each of you have as well. So we look forward to that. And then every month, Dr. Miller and Paula with her team on STEM and Dr. Miller with leaders in K-12 are here, and we have virtual sessions, and we invite you to share those with your faculty, with your students, because it's so important that our students, as I think it was Jason said, you have to see it to be it. And we have so many incredible leaders like you for students to be able to see themselves, even if they don't, in their school district, at their college, at their place of work. So we look forward to working with all of you, and I'm going to reach out so we can do some profiles, two of you all for Black History Month, and then for some of the other things that we cover throughout the year. So thanks for your inclusive leadership and for making the time today, and for all of you who made time to tune in with all the things you have going on in your world. We appreciate it, and Celeste will post the link to everybody who signed up. And then tomorrow in the newsletter, it will be in the Global Mind newsletter, so you can share that throughout your networks. It'll be posted to YouTube. So thanks, everybody. Happy 2022, and looking forward to seeing you all next month. Take good care. Bye.